So we start with the red color. When you add water in your paint, in watercolor paint, you can make your paint really light. So if you see, we don't have any white color in our watercolor paint. Most of the time we use, because we have actually white color, but most of the artists prefer not to use that because white can make your painting muddy. Because of that, with playing the amount of water, you can make your color light and dark. If you add more water in your paint, you can make it lighter. If you add less water and more pigment, you can make your paint darker. So I pre-mix my red, bring it the other part, and add a little bit of water into that. Then I move on to the blue. I work with cerulean blue. If you have cobalt or cerulean or any light blue color, would be nice to have. Just add a drop of water into your paint and make it runny. The first layer in watercolor, most of the time, it's better to be runny. So these are two colors. As I mentioned, the bottom part, it's a little bit turquoise color. So we can make the turquoise by blue and yellow. If you add more blue, light blue, and just a tiny bit yellow, tiny bit, because it can move toward greeny color. If you add more blue and less yellow, you can make turquoise color with a light blue color. So we have these three colors ready. I wash my brush, clean it, and we can have a napkin to use it always. And then start with the red color, which is the lighter color. And I know that this part of the wing is covered by black and white. So I leave a little bit of space in here. I don't go through those parts because I would like to add the black and add some details with the white color. So I keep some space, adding some white color here. I have lots of water in my brush, so it's so light. I move on a little bit like that. I have some red color here on this section. Clean my brush, move on to the blue, and adding some blue in between. Both colors are wet and very nice and gently. They can mix into each other. Even they can give us a nice result. It's okay, you go with the watery brush for the first layer. Even when we want to add more details, we can use it on next layer. So I add blue and then let it dry. And please don't be worried about the playing between the red and the blue, because it's watercolor. They can move to each other, play to each other, and then you see here it's a little bit reddish here, more bluey here. I have some stain here, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's just creativity. Now, if you're ready, we can make the dark color together. Because I don't use any black in my painting, I prefer, even for flower or butterfly or anything, it's easier to make it. It's more beautiful, not to do just with the black. I prefer to make the dark color by mixing blue, brown, and this dark red. So I add my dark blue. If you don't have dark blue and you have some dark gray color, would be okay to use that. But I go with ultramarine blue, which is my dark blue. So ultramarine with dark brown. Dark brown, it's okay to go with Van Dyke or burnt umber or any dark brown that you have. Please bring it here on your palette. This is the dark blue. Draw one C-curve line on top of my wing. The thickness doesn't matter. You can make it a little thicker than this. You don't have to be really narrow. Just we would like to make some details. Even you can repeat this dark line 2 or 3 times, like that. Then undraw for the edges. I'm not worried about the thickness, it's okay. We need this dark color with dark blue and brown. Then for the top wing, I try to divide it into 2 parts, 1 and 2. So from here, make sure not touch it when it's wet, and try to draw one line inside the wing. As I mentioned, the thickness doesn't matter, just one line toward the center. And I would like to make it like V shape. From here, move it up. And then from here, move it up here till this part. So I make a V shape from here to there, or it looks like Y as well. You can draw something like that with the thickness of the line, like that. It's more interesting. But it's better to have empty inside. Even you can draw one line to connect this to the U shape, like a flower. Another like oval shape, a little bit bigger, it can be made by this details like that. I just make this shape on top of the wing. And then I connect from this oval shape with the line to this part of the end of the wing with the C-curve. Even I can have one line from this toward this part. These are the details I would like to have on top. So I would like to add warm red color on top. So I use very less water in my paint, very less, and more pigment because I would like to let the red be darker. So heavy paint, I just add heavy paint inside this. You see the same red color I use, but this one has more water inside and so light, but this one has less water and really dark. And when it has less water and really dark, it can come on top and sit as a details on top of even the blue color. And even we need to add a little tone on the head and even on the body. I would like to make it more red, warmer, and have a more tone. Now for the blue color is the same. We use less water and more pigment to use darker blue here. So I go adding one movement here to make a little bit darker blue, just a bit. And even around this part. It doesn't need to make it dark everywhere. Just some brush stroke can be stay here and leave it like that. Or some more we can add on this section. Just one movement and one brush stroke would be okay. You don't have to add a lot. For this part, which is covered by turquoise blue, we can make the turquoise again by blue and a little bit yellow. And then adding some tone here. It doesn't need to cover all the part. For the first part, it's okay, but for the others, just half a wing, half a details, it's okay to add a brush stroke, and then the rest, leave it, fade to the background. Clean your brush like that, and then fade it here. So that's helpful for this transition between light and the dark. Just adding a little brown into that and cover whole this shape of the wing with a tone. Even you can go with a dark brown and a little blue, make that darkness. Bring it one brush stroke here, a little bit darker. Even we can lift up some paint to add some decoration. I make my napkin a little like a circular shape. When it's wet, just touch your surface and lift up. Just touch, lift up. So you can lift up some paint. Our paper is wet and our paint is wet too. So very gently, please make it wet and start with light and warm color. You can come a little close to your butterfly, very gently close to it and touch it. Randomly add some light tone around it. Even you can keep a little bit white in between, that's fine. And make some shape like that. And your paint easily move because the surface is wet. You can shape it randomly like this. Play with your brush and shape your background. Very gently, come close to your butterfly. And on the other side, we can have some brush stroke as a warm green, just like that, and move on toward darkness. Sometimes it's happened when the paper is big and if the paper actually it's 25% cotton, immediately get dry. And we have not a lots of chance to work with wet on wet technique. So you can go with really wet brush if your paper start to get dry. I keep some white space in between the warm and dark color. It's so interesting. Even I can add napkin to lift up some paint to have more white color in between to shape my leaf. It's interesting to have these details. For the top part, I prefer to be really light, so I add more water in the brush, and I try to add loose and watery brush stroke around on top. Close to the butterfly, be really gently, not touch the butterfly color. And just one brush stroke, I will pass close to the butterfly, not more than that. Even this section is a little darker, I can bring some dark brown as well to have another value of color. Just dark brown to shape this section. Even I can add some darker tone here. It's still wet a little bit, they can mix into each other. Just tiny bit for the edges. And that's enough. With pointy brush, with tip of pointy brush and so narrow, we draw some long line and make it a little bit fat on the top part, just a bit. And make it long like that. And again, another one. These details take more time sometimes because drawing the narrow line is not easy. You can control your hand with putting your small finger on a paper and draw some narrow line with less pressure. And then for the foot or hand, you can add one tiny line here, another on this way, and connect the small part as if and here. And then the other part, it's look like here, and then small part adding. And for the other part, which is the foot, from inside, you can start adding one line, come down, go up again, inside, and then along. It can be a little curvy, it's not forced to be straight. Here. Now leave it like that. It's better your first, actually your background be completely dry. Because if it wasn't dry, the dark color spread everywhere.